Hello, my Chunsters. I am Glenn Chun, and it's time to have some fun with Wrestlecast episode 14. And I am joined once again by another fantastic guest for you. What can I say about this man? Well, I think the best thing I can tell you about this man is he is one of the brightest up-and-coming talents in the Southwest today, a man whose future is probably brighter than the sun which shines down on him. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the ultimate Jamie Pearn.
Hey guys, how you doing?
I hope they're all doing very, very well. As am I. I think I made that was a pretty good intro. I'm happy with that one.
Yeah, that sounded like a good one.
Yeah. So today we've got a packed show for you. So over the next hour or so, we're going to be talking to JP, taking some fan questions. There are quite a few of them, and all of them are pretty good. We're going to plug things. That's what I do. I plug. I'm the world's greatest plugger, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake. And we're also going to play clairvoyant, I guess, and see just how predictable WWE Payback is. I'm fairly confident I'm going to get them all right.
As long as you pick Roman to win, you're basically right.
Yeah. See, it's kind of like John Cena syndrome, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
John Cena versus anybody. John Cena wins. I reckon even if John's... And I know this is going to piss Dmitry Ivanov off from last week, but you could probably put John Cena versus the entire Russian army and John Cena would win.
They should change Cena's song instead of John Cena sucks. Change it to Kicks Out at 2.
Kicks out at 2. Kicks out at 2. That works. Yeah, he's probably the one person who would just put a MiG-29 in the STF and tap it out. But oh dear. Which, by the way, as a small thing, because a few people were a bit upset that they couldn't see Dimitri last week because I broke my camera because I'm an idiot. There were a few people that are like, well, what does Dmitry Ivanov look like? Well, thankfully, I got in touch with him again, and he sent me a picture for everybody to see. So, fan service from last week. I know you're all disappointed. There is Dmitry Ivanov. That's what he looks like. That is his promo page. So,
mean Russian.
One mean... Yeah, I'm going to have to work out how to... Hello. Let's see... Now, which page? I can't remember which page it is that stops screen sharing. There you go. If I press that, does it just go back to me?
No, it's still on the Facebook page.
Oh dear. There we go. I think I've got it. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So that's Dmitry Ivanov. But enough about him. He was last week. This week we've got JP. And JP, are you ready, sir, for fan questions?
Yes, I am.
Oh boy. Here we go. We're starting off with long faithful and long-time viewer of the show, George Bennett, a man known to everybody in the Southwest wrestling scene because he is awesome, who asks the first question: where did the idea for the ultimate JP come from?
Well, basically, over the summer, about end of July, beginning of August, I went up to Pro Evo W for an 8-day boot camp, and basically I didn't like it up there very much. Pro Evo W is okay, but roster isn't really. I was up there getting so hyped, but then after the first day or two, I was wondering, why am I here? Gloucester is a horrible city.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it took me forever just to find a decent shop that sell protein.
It's is he?
Yeah, I know, but still. And basically, I was training with the Bristol boys, and they said I was ultimate, and I decided just to run with that. So now the city of Gloucester knows me as the Ultimate JP.
Ah, that's cool. So that's like I love that, like stories like that where you just like good things, just like somebody makes an offhand comment and you're like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Also, Gloucester, you stink. How dare you treat Jamie that badly?
Yep.
I thought we'd get that in there. Also, George Bennett wants to ask, can I be your second biggest fan?
Yes.
Yes. There you go. George, you can be his second biggest fan. I think he says second biggest fan because obviously your mum's your biggest fan. Because your mum is always your biggest fan.
Oh. Yeah. Oh.
So yeah, there you go, George. Now this one is sort of shared. This next question is a little bit shared because Briam, we have George Bennett and Briam Forbes ask something very, very, very similar. Because Briam asks, "Why are you so good in front of CPW crowds?" And George asked you, "Why do people love you so much?"
Well, with CPW, they are currently the biggest shows I wrestle in, just crowd and everything wise. So in every CPW show, I decide to go all out, and I have no idea why the fans like me. It's just I just debuted in July, and there was just like half of the LEP trainees just started cheering, and then they all started cheering, and it was just, I guess they all like me.
But I think fans like always. I think fans will. I'll say this for fans, like no matter if they're hardcore fans or not, they always appreciate just a genuine, honest, 100% performance.
Yeah, like no matter if they're hardcore or not, they appreciate really good wrestlers or wrestlers who are trying their best to be the best. Basically.
Yeah, that definitely comes across. I think with you because I first came across you at CPW. It was at November 28th. It was you beat Reaper, obviously a man who's about twice your size, and you just flattened him. And I'd say, quite honestly, pretty much out wrestled him that night. And then things took a bit of a turn for the worse with Mark Walsh getting involved in things, and then Danny, and then you came out to assist Danny. Now, this is a bit that just I think this was the moment of the show, and this is a show that had Grayson Reeves diving 20 foot off a ladder, off a staging area. It had Joel Redmond doing, I don't know, his Batman thing, handstand on the ropes for like 10 minutes. And this moment, I think, was probably the moment that's just people just came unglued for the most. You tried to provide an assist to Danny Walsh.
Yes.
Only it backfired a little bit when you got RKO'd by Mark mid-air.
Yeah, it was just my chest and my ribs were hurting for like the next week or two after that.
I'm not surprised. I think that moment is still somewhere on CPW's YouTube page or somewhere. You can definitely see that if you want to see what we mean. But I think that was the moment when I just sort of realised I was like, you will. I think that's for the moment when I remember sort of just being like, this guy's good. Is really good.
But yeah, with that RKO, it was just due to what happened earlier in that night. The ref was distracted, so I just wanted to get my payback. But obviously, it failed.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. So yeah, thank you, George and Briam, for your questions. We now move on to a man who has been on this show before. and he likes to talk quite a fair bit. He also likes to ask questions of the show, and he's currently, and I'll tell you what, he's currently got his manager. Even though he said last time he wasn't going to do this, but his manager is sending me email after email after email demanding time in the show again. So he's done it this way. He's asking a question. This comes from Jason King, and he asks, yeah, you're right to think that. What will happen if you ever go one-on-one with the King?
Beat him for his title.
Yeah. I thought you might say something like that.
Yeah. Jason's okay in the ring, but he just opens his mouth too much, and one day that's just gonna cost him everything.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's kind of he's kind of fixed himself to get into a little bit of trouble with a group called the Firm. That we'll be talking about that a little. We'll get to that, as Adam tends to say on What Culture. We'll get to that. Yeah. But yeah, see, I know what you mean. He tends to do a lot of that, and he gets a 1 or 2 bullseyes on his back, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, who knows? I mean, you never know. You might actually get a chance to do that in the future. I mean, you are in a match in an upcoming LEP show against the head trainer, the pretty boy Danny Walsh.
Oh, I'm so hyped and nervous for that at the same time because it's Danny Walsh. Because it's like, I know what he's done in the past and the people he's faced, so it's just big pressure on me.
Yeah, well, I mean, a win like that, well, that would probably see you skip pretty high up the queue for a #1 contender shot at Jason King. So if that man ain't careful, it could be JP shutting his mouth.
Yeah, basically, if I beat Danny in Plymouth, May 29th, Jason King, I'm coming for your title afterwards.
I'll tell you what, you might say this. This is probably me putting your words in your mouth, but JP could become the ultimate gobstopper.
Yes.
That's quite good. So there you go. Jason, that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose your title, sonny boy. I imagine he's going to have a lot to say about that if he ever gets back on the show, but never mind. The next question comes from a member of the Firm. Remember, I said we'd get back to that.
Yes.
A big man, John Rakes, who asks, would you ever consider wearing a mask to prevent you from smiling too much?
No, I've never really considered a mask because when I smile, it's just because I love being in the ring, performing in front of everybody. So even if I'm in Gloucester, I won't smile as much, but I still enjoy being in the ring. And at the end of the day, if I win a match, yay.
Yeah, it's like, I'm happy if I'm in a ring. Yeah. Everywhere else is just a bonus.
Yep.
Yeah, because that does shine through. Actually, that probably goes a little bit towards answering like George's question from earlier as well. Actually, now we have got a bit of a boast actually, but I think you might want to answer this however you want to. Mm-hmm. This one comes from AJ Air. Yeah, you probably know where this is going. And AJ Air asks, when is AJ Air going to beat you again?
Well, it's hard to tell because up to now I've basically let him beat me because we've basically only wrestled up at Pro Evo, and because I don't really care that guess that I don't really like the Pro Evo guys and Owen AJS, sorry, does. I just let him win, so then they cheer and. But to that answer, AJS, next time we go 1-on-1, I'm beating you.
AJ, you have been warned. You know what? I'd quite like to see that. I really would. Like, this AJ tends to make quite a few, like, tends to have a pop at you quite a lot. Actually, I think there's something, a bit of a rivalry developing there potentially.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, you know what? I don't want anything to do with him.
Yeah, I've wrestled him enough now. It's all right.
Yeah, we'll just keep that in that grotty little place called Gloucester.
Yeah.
And now here's the final fan question that comes to you, and it's quite a good one. There's an alternate version of this as well, but this is the first question, and it comes from a certain John Joe O'Brien, not to be confused with John Harding, and he asks, we're going to keep referencing that the moment I've died inside, and he asks, where do you, JP, see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I would say in 5 years, I would love to start branching out to more companies and making a big name for myself, and potentially living off wrestling.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like 5 years into the future. It's quite a long way. I mean, I don't think anybody really knows. But yeah, making a living off pro wrestling, that's a full-on El Ligero.
It's so difficult to do nowadays. It's just like WWE, they only have to do a show like once a week. If you're not in WWE, you're looking at more like 10 to 15 shows per week.
That's true. WWE made it very, very difficult, I think, for other wrestlers. Whilst we're off on this tangent, like this show is about wrestling, so we can talk about other things. It has made it very difficult, I think, because for everybody who isn't in WWE, like the pickings are quite small, I think. Like if you're not in WWE, your only other option to make any real money is in New Japan. And then you're sort of, but it's now just a lot of smaller companies that are sort of trying to get themselves back up there, because British wrestling's, I think, starting to come back.
Yeah, it's starting to. It's like NGW would be a good place to look at to put on TV because they're amazing. But it's like if I could only do some like one show per month, it'd probably be at NGW because it's that big.
Yeah, I can see that one. Because they are quite, they're probably one of the bigger ones. The only other people who I think one of the companies probably spearheading like a comeback for Britain as well is probably WAW in Norwich. I
didn't think of that.
Since they're getting their TV recordings, they actually are doing a few TV tapings nowadays, I think.
Yeah. I remember the first one they had Razor Ramon.
Yes. The bag guy. Oh, yeah. I think those guys certainly stand a pretty good chance of because I'd love to see British wrestling get back to how big it was back in the World of Sport days.
Yeah,
it's like I think for like a lot of young British wrestlers now, like the World of Sport days must be like a myth, like Luke Skywalker is in the new Star Wars movie. That's kind of like what World of Sport is to British wrestling these days.
Yeah, it's like, to me, British wrestling deserves a chance just like America. So we need to get British wrestling back on TV some way.
I think it's certainly something which could happen. I think the fan base in England is definitely growing. Like you look at whenever WWE comes over here, their events just sell like that.
Yeah, like the new NXT tour, they're coming down to Plymouth.
It's already sold out.
Yeah, sold out in like an hour.
It did actually, yeah. I think we're all going to be going to that one, so you might see a vlog from that with all the lads. But yeah, it's going to be. It is quite interesting. I think. Well, even TNA does pretty good crowd numbers when they're in the UK. So
yeah, I think TNA's best fan base is actually down here. Actually.
Yeah, in fact, I remember a funny story. I remember seeing like an article online, like suggesting 10 or 5 ways to save TNA, right? And one of them was move the company to the UK. I was like, you know what? Considering the crowds that they do here in the UK, it's not that crap an idea, actually.
Yeah, it's like I haven't watched TNA in ages, but when I last saw it, it was like during the World Title Series, and I was thinking these crowds are smaller than what they were when they come down in the UK.
Oh, they always are. It's frightening just how small. Sometimes it's. I did see a picture taken from a fan at Bound for Glory 2014 or 15, I think it was. And literally, they're in a venue, probably 12,000 seat venue. And I'm not sure if it is. Well, I mean, just rows and rows and rows, just completely empty. Like it's bad. I mean, it's really quite bad. They must have lost a lot of money on that show because literally the only crowd you can really see in the picture is just at ringside.
I hate it.
Yeah, I might link people to this picture if I can find it. I'll put it in the description so you can see what I mean. Yeah, they don't have that problem in the UK. So
yeah, it's like I hate it when wrestling shows don't get many people because it's just horrible because I never like seeing a company go bust because it could potentially be more work or so and so.
Yeah, that's certainly a way to look at it. I think before we do WWE Payback or some plugs, perhaps I mean I have a few questions I can ask. I tend to ask quite a few guys, which are quite good. I'll always start with this one because it's quite nice because you get different stories from everybody. Which was, how did you first become interested in pro wrestling?
I was like 6 or 7 at the time, and a couple of my mates just came into school with like those Slam Attack trading cards they have. Yeah, and I just looked at them. They told me it was WWE, so I looked it up on YouTube, and the first match I ever saw was Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker ladder match for the WWE title.
I know the one you're on about.
And then since then, I've just loved wrestling.
Yeah, it's like you always have that moment that just hooks you, don't you? That's well, anything Undertaker is just mystifying. It's Jeff Hardy as well, man. Those are definitely that's a good way to get started. So from there, obviously you take your first steps in pro wrestling. So how did you actually get involved in pro wrestling?
Well, we found me and my mum found a wrestling company on Facebook. Can't remember the name. And they're doing a show down here in Plymouth, around like St. Vito. And we got there, and the show was cancelled. But we were talking to one of the guys there, and they were talking about PWA in their training school. So the next day we looked them up, and we found them, and then I started going to PWA for a while, and since then it's just skyrocketed.
Yeah, that moment you just don't look back.
Yeah.
So PWA is a company which certainly, they had a really ambitious, it helped if I can speak, ambitious show last time. So, I think PWA is a company which has certainly got some big things going on, which could be one to watch.
Yeah, PWA do have a couple big things. It's I do go over there and support them, but unfortunately I'm not able to attend the next show because of I'm wrestling Danny Walsh.
Yes, that's going to be an interesting evening, I think, because LEP and PWA are both running shows on the same night. I think it's going to be an interesting night for Southwest Wrestling. Let's put it that way. For a lot of reasons, which you never know. Danny might well say. You never know. But it's certainly I think I'm going to be at the LEP show because I train at LEP. So that's where I will be. I think that'll be an interesting one. May 29th is going to be interesting. I don't really know. I don't really want to go into detail about it too much. It could get us in a lot of trouble. Right. Let's get off that topic.
Let's get to Payback.
Let's just skip through to one last question from JP to round off the half an hour of JP time. Let's give you the full half hour. So it's a question which it's always spawns some pretty nice answers for guys. It's actually let's go for two more questions. Let's go to I think the first one is going to be who's a favourite guy you've ever been in the ring with?
At the minute, my favourite match has got to be either with El Diablo Loco back in July, or the tag team match I did back in February.
Yes. You and Danny versus Jason and Mark. Which, things got a bit crazy in that match.
Yeah.
But whenever you're in the ring, though, with talent like that, though, that's your stock raises.
That match was really good for me. Even though I lost and I was in a lot of pain after, I looked back at the video and it looked amazing and the crowd were into it, which is what I want in the end. Yeah,
that's kind of that leads me on to the next question and final JP question before we start looking at Payback, which is, what is your favourite part of being a wrestler?
My favourite part of being a wrestler is just making the fans get into the wrestling, whether they cheer me or boo me or chant, or as long as they're chanting and into the match, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, that's a nice answer, actually. I think that's if the fans aren't happy though, it can be a bit. I've seen it happen. Like, you saw it happen at Royal Rumble 2015. What happens when the fans aren't into it?
God, that Rumble sucked.
Just look at The Rock's face at the end of that show.
Rock didn't look too happy.
No, I know he didn't. I heard that's why you didn't see The Rock get involved with Roman at all during this year's WrestleMania 32.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to because they don't want him to get booed again, and like The Rock be seen as a bad guy.
Yeah, but I do think they could have made his role a bit different in Mania 32.
Yeah.
Like, not the 7-second match.
Yeah. Not that. Yeah, that could have been better. For sure, I think. Right. Now, I am going to take a look at an event which is happening soon, very, very soon, which is going to see quite a few people. I'm going to see if there's any news on the card that's going on here. And no, I cannot see anything. I'm going to try it, so we're going to have to go a bit from memory on this one. But it's time to go to Plug City. Oh, yeah. We're going to Plug City, exit whenever I've run out of things to plug. And today we're plugging something I plugged again last week, which is CPW4. I want to get the hype out there for this company, CPW, because they are running a show on May 14th at the Penrice Academy in St. Austell, and you're going to see quite a lot of guys here. I've got a list of advertised people who are going to be on the show. So are you ready for this? The people that are advertised are the winner, PJ Jones, the world's sleaziest tag team, the Magnums, that's Filthy Chris Walker and Dirty Dick Riley. Then you have the dancing Daddy Bainsley, always. The CPW trophy holder, the ultimate rule breaker, the UK dominator, pretty boy, Danny Walsh, the man who JP wants fought in July, El Diablo Loco is coming back, plus much more, which, about the whole much more thing, JP will be on the show. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be quite a big show, actually, because as well as all those guys, Marvelous Mark Walsh, the man who called out Johnny Cowling, and the ultimate, should we just call him the loudmouth of the Southwest? Jason King will be on that show. Yeah. So you're going to have, and then also hot new team, The Firm, Cornish Mafia section of that will be making their Cornish pro wrestling debuts. There's quite a few guys, actually.
Yeah, I think I wrestled Vincent Mad Dog in LEP last month in a 6-man tag. Oh, he's vicious.
Yeah, see, that's why they call him the Mad Dog.
Yeah.
He's a bit, well, he said on the show, when he came on the show, because he has been on the show, he said he's called the Mad Dog because he likes to bite people. So there you go. That gives you an idea of him. Also appearing on the show and announced Maximo Jr., the Mexican sensation, is coming back to CPW. Well, actually, no, I think he's debuting in CPW, now that I think about it.
He hasn't wrestled in CPW, but he did help me win against El Diablo Loco.
Ah, okay, I see. I thought I saw a picture of him somewhere on a CPW show. Also, professional Josh Knott. I always look forward to seeing his matches. He's so fluid in that ring. Perhaps his... Oh, yeah. Also, you can look forward to seeing the Rocker, John Harding. He'll be there. Let's talk about... And of course, this show is going to see the debut of a lot of people in CPW. And that's going to be taking place in the form of a Rumble match. Oh, yes. Now, I was looking... The reason why I was on the Facebook page earlier is I was looking to see who's been announced in that, but I couldn't find it. anywhere. I couldn't find it mentioned on their Facebook page. I'm going to just scroll through and see if I can find it, because if I can, it'll be really helpful, because there's a lot of guys debuting, and I want to see if I can. I want to see if I can have a list. Oh dear, this isn't actually in order. These.
I'll try and find it too.
Yeah, because I don't want to sort of miss anybody out, because there are, like I say, a lot of guys. Oh, I found the RKO video. Oh no, that's a Magnum. Sorry, that's a handspring. It's a different thing. Oh yeah, this is not in any kind of order. Okay. Oh, hello! I found it.
Hey.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, there's a few guys there that I can mention. So let's see if I think before we waste any more time trying to find anything. The people who I know are going to be in that match at the moment. I think there's still people being added to it. At the moment, we have El Diablo Loco is scheduled to be in the match. You have Big Time Adam Flint, a man who has, despite my repeated efforts, said that he's far too big time to appear on this podcast. And I completely disagree, as does the UK Dominator, funnily enough. Yeah, so you have those two guys. JP, the Ultimate, he will be in the match.
Yep.
Ultimately throwing everybody over the top rope, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we hope. That's what you're hoping for. Now, they're the guys who I know about from LEP. Now, there's quite a fair few guys that are going to be involved from Cornish Pro Wrestling, because they have had a series of training camps, and the guys from these training camps are going to get their breakout and their start here in this match. And so far, you have the big man from the Cornish Mafia, the Wrecking Machine, John Rakes, a big 6'6" man. I've been along to these CPW boot camps, and I've seen him. He's big, really big.
Yeah, chokeslammed me on one of them.
I saw that, yeah, and he had you up for quite a long time. Then you have Nathan Storm, the man, the dark hero. He's going to be in this. He's going to be in this thing. Then you have, well, my guest from last week, Dmitry Ivanov, who I suppose has done one of these CPW boot camps to acclimatise to the weather down here. That's what he said last week. That's why he's here. Then you have also from the firm, Jago. Big Jago. Now, Jago is currently on the fence. We don't actually know, but he's being threatened. Let's use that word. He's being threatened as being in this match, and threatened is a good word to use, because Jago is close to 300 pounds, 6 foot, and yeah, going to be pretty difficult for everybody to eliminate, I think. But I've just thought of a few more guys. I hope so. You're going to need one. I'd advise everybody else has a plan as well, actually. Also, now that I think about it, you have the man who talked smack at you earlier, AJ Air, is going to be involved in that match. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. And another guy who's going to be making his debut is Mean Mark Manson, who sent an ominous message to CPW where he just stubbed a cigarette butt out on the poster. Oof. And finally, the last guy I can think of off the top of my head, before anybody else gets announced, the man who is really fresh, Fergie Freshness. And that man is not lacking in confidence, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Saw him earlier today at the WWE training school. Oh, so much confidence.
Fresh. He's a fresh kid. Of course. That's going to be an interesting match, to say the least. Now, I believe the stipulation on that match is this: whoever wins that has a chance at the CPW trophy, which is, well, that's just huge. That you can't ask for a bigger opportunity than that. But ladies and gentlemen, if we haven't given you enough reason already to see this show, i.e. the winner, the UK Dominator, John Harding, Josh Knott, Jason King, Maximo Jr., Jamie, Dimitri, the debutees, the tons of people that are going to be on the show. If this isn't enough to make you want to go and see a show, well, CPW has a bit of a trump card they're going to want to play. Because the posters, ladies and gentlemen, have been put up around Cornwall. And on those posters is the man known quite simply as the villain, Marty Scurll. Oh, yes. Marty Scurll is going to be in attendance at CPW4, a man who's TNA British Boot Camp. Yeah.
And a guy,
PWG.
And a guy who hasn't watched any of his matches, I advise you do so, because I watched a ton of his stuff on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, and it's an amazing pleasure to wrestle on the same show as someone like Marty Scurll.
Yeah. I've been in attendance for 2 matches of Marty Scurll. One was, what were they calling it? 5-Star Pro Wrestling in Liverpool. He was involved in 6-man tag action there. Teamed with Jimmy Havoc and Nick Aldis against Rey Mysterio, Zack Sabre Jr. and oh god, the 6th guy slipped my mind. Oh, Will Ospreay, that was it. And that was a match of the night by a long way. And I also saw him for Global Force Wrestling in Exeter when he took on Sonjay Dutt. And that was just phenomenal as well. So yeah, Marty Scurll is going to be interesting. Going to be very good to watch. And ladies and gentlemen, I also want to correct a mistake I made last week on the show. The LAP show I mentioned in June is not June the 21st. It's June the 27th, I believe. It's not the 21st, as I previously stated. But that's the end of Plug City. I think we did a good job there.
Yeah, I think so too.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me and JP to either look like the world's greatest psychics or the world's least psychic people as we attempt to predict who is going to be winning at WWE Payback. So, to that end, I have the card up here. So, let's start with a kickoff match, shall we? It features Kalisto defending his United States Championship against the big guy, Ryback.
For starters, I hope Ryback vs. Kalisto isn't like the one at WrestleMania, because I found that one boring and the crowd weren't really behind it. But I think Kalisto's going to win.
Okay. So we're splitting the deck right away, because my prediction is Ryback. I think attempting to justify that is difficult, but it seems to me like if they continue to do absolutely nothing with Ryback, he's just going to become fade away completely with no hope of ever being anything. And plus, if Kalisto does lose, he can always fall back on Sin Cara, do Lucha Dragons Tag Team Championships. Well, hey.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's interesting. We're instantly splitting the deck. You're going Kalisto, I'm going right back.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think they'll push right back because they just haven't really gotten behind him since his Intercontinental title run.
Yeah, that's true. That's sort of why I'm thinking maybe this is like his last chance and what they might give it to him. But who knows? That is the kickoff match. Now, this next match, I'm going to be honest, I am so on the fence. This will come down to literal eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And it is the tag team match to become the #1 contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships, which is going to see the team of Enzo, Amore, and Big Cass against the Vaudevillains.
I'm predicting that Enzo and Cass win because I feel like they're pushing Enzo and Cass more than the Vaudevillains. And plus, as soon as they come out, crowds behind them, they join in when they're on the mic.
It's magic to watch, isn't it? Like I say, in some ways, I think it's going to come down to like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo kind of deal. But when Mo hits, the Mo falls on Enzo and Cass for me for very much the same reason. I think these guys have the potential to make WWE a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, because they remind me a lot of the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah, that's a comparison I'd make myself, yeah. It's just, I think what it is the catchphrases just rattle off and so catchy. It's just, well, I mean, how can you bet against a certified G and a bona fide stud who teams with a man who's 7 foot tall? Well, you just can't teach that, can you?
Yeah, you just can't teach it.
No, I must admit, though, I am looking forward to that match. I really am. Okay, so the next match is, I think, I don't really know. It'd be interesting. It's Dolph Ziggler versus the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. Now, see, I don't think this one's going to end clean either way. But I think you're either going to see one or two things. Basically, Baron Corbin's coming out of this match the better, either way. But it's either going to be DQ win to Ziggler or just Baron Corbin.
I'm actually going to say Baron Corbin by Dolph Ziggler not being able to continue.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah. Maybe like 1 or 2 end of days outside the ring and then throw him in, no one inside. Then ref just calls Bell like KO and Zayn.
Yeah, no, that's possible. But we're both basically going Baron Corbin to come out the better on this one, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be much doubt at this point. Now, we were talking a bit before the show. This is a match you're looking forward to. Is the next match listed here. And it is Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. Picking a winner here is going to be tough. I'm leaning towards Dino.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going towards Jericho because I find his crowd work is amazing, and I think just the fact that it's Chris Jericho and how good he is in the ring, he will somehow beat Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I'm just wondering how much longer Jericho is going to continue on his current run in the WWE, because he's been working Oh, he's been there for quite some time now. He's normally gone within a couple of months, but
Yeah,
actually,
I thought that too.
yeah, he's been back for quite some time now. Actually, did the whole thing with AJ. Yeah, he's been back for. That's one sort of wondering. Is his last sort of thing whilst he's here putting over Dean Ambrose?
Yeah. Like, I thought it would leave after Mania, but apparently not.
Yeah, which I quite like actually. I think it's nice to have some Jericho around. Yeah, I don't know. I think well, obviously there's more life in Dean Ambrose than Chris Jericho. I mean, I don't know. I can see where you're coming from, but I still think it's going to be Dean. So you're going Jericho, I'm going Ambrose. It's at least we're not both picking the same winner each time. Now here's a good one. Man who only just won it, who I think won this way too early after the last title change. But it's the Intercontinental Championship match, which sees The Miz defending his championship against Cesaro. See, now I would say, The Miz, because he's only been the champion for a month, but look what happens to Zack Ryder. So,
yeah. I feel so sorry for Zack right now because of what happened.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit shitty, really. I was looking forward to seeing something. But, well, at least Zack Ryder winning the championship at Mania means Jason King's running a marathon soon. So at least that's
can't wait for that.
I think, you know what, I'm actually going to... I think I'm going to say The Miz, but not clean. I reckon it's going to be interference from Maurice. That I think is probably most likely.
I'm going to say Cesaro, actually, because he's starting to get a push ever since he came back. And it's just something what everyone's wanted for a while, is a push from Cesaro. So I think they're finally going to give him it with him winning the IC title.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm certainly on the fence about this one. After what happens to Zack Ryder, I really wouldn't be surprised either way. To be fair, I think I'm going to stick with Miz with interference from Maurice, since that's how they took the title away from Ryder. So, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Cesaro win that one, in fairness. Here comes a match which I think is probably going to be match of the night. It is Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens.
Straight away, I'm going KO.
Yeah?
Yeah. I just think Kevin Owens is going to win it because of how they're building the rivalry. Sami Zayn is going to be too distracted by how much he hates KO and stuff, and Kevin Owens is just going to take an advantage to that and just beat him.
Yeah, that's certainly one way it can go. Yeah, I mean, I think they've got to be a bit... I certainly agree with that, and I probably will say Kevin Owens for this time. What I would also say, though, is I really hope that WWE starts taking a bit of care with Sami Zayn, because I can see it happening where if he loses too many times, I can see people sort of maybe losing that bit of faith in him. So I hope they're careful, because I think Sami Zayn is another guy who the crowd just really love. So, but I agree with you, though. I think it's going to be Owens this time.
But then, though, they could do what they did in NXT, which is where they built a storyline where Sami Zayn couldn't win the big one for months, and then he finally won the big one.
Yeah, because that really was what made him, wasn't it?
Yeah, just winning the big one against Neville.
Yeah, he's practically made at that point. It's kind of like how it's kind of very similar to what ECW did with Mikey Whipwreck back in the day. Yeah, you know, I think we both agree then it's Kevin Owens on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, hello. The WWE Women's Championship match, which will see Charlotte defending her title with Ric Flair in her corner against Natalya with Bret Hart in her corner. I'm wondering if they're now going to sort of bring this whole stipulation up to sort of counteract the Ric Flair factor, and now I still think it's going to be Charlotte, though.
I think it's going to be Natalya, because they're probably going to do a thing where Ric Flair tries to cheat, and then Bret Hart just takes him out, puts him in the sharpshooter on the outside, and then Natalya puts Charlotte in the sharpshooter in the ring and she taps.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I must admit, I certainly think this whole type of stipulation thing where they bring somebody from the other Divas side to counter out the Ric Flair factor, I thought it was going to happen at WrestleMania, actually. I thought maybe have a fatal four-way at WrestleMania where this is what I thought was going to happen, where it was Paige, Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte. And I thought Paige might actually have her mum there to counter out Ric Flair. Maybe Sasha has Snoop Dogg, and Becky. That's the thing, though. Who would Becky have had? Then again, that's probably why it didn't happen. But yeah, for some reason, I still think they're going to have Charlotte come out on top on this one, and they're going to save that title change for another day. I don't know why. I think it's because I say that because I see potential for some of the other titles changing hands, and I think they'll probably just keep the Women's Championship where it is. I think they seem to have a lot of stock in Charlotte, so
yeah.
But divided opinion. Now here's an interesting one. Because it's not a match, but it's still something we can predict and speculate over. Vince McMahon will announce who has control of Monday Night Raw going forward. I think it's gonna, what I think would be kind of cool, because they have a lot of stars now and a lot of potential talent coming up through NXT. This is probably the best time since it's finished to redo it. Brand split. Not necessarily brand split as having separate rosters, but have Stephanie run Raw with Triple H, have Shane run SmackDown. Because that would make people care about SmackDown a bit more.
Yeah. What I think is going to happen is Vince is going to say that they're both going to be in charge, and they have to somehow work together to provide the best show they can.
Yeah, that could happen. Yeah, that could happen. I certainly wouldn't put that. Yeah, I can see that happening. I certainly think, though, now would be quite a good time to have them run separate shows and then have them compete against each other, because I think that might introduce a pretty cool element to the WWE, where both Steph and Shane are seen to be fighting for rating supremacy between Raw and SmackDown.
Bring back Bragging Rights.
Yes, and also potentially a return for the GM mode in the WWE games, which I like that mode.
I haven't actually played that mode in the WWE games yet.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
No.
Dude, I used to do it all the time. Like, it was awesome. In SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, I used to do it. But I never used to play the matches because you had the chance to play the matches, and I thought that's kind of harsh. So I just let the matches play out as they would. And if ever I wanted to get somebody fired, I'd always put them against the current heavyweight champion, and if they win, they keep their spot on the card. If they lose, bye. That produced a pretty impressive squash match once between Batista and Super Crazy. It was over in a minute and a half. I was like, well, bye, Super Crazy. Anyway, let's. Well, we're back. We're up to 8 o'clock now, so about on the time limit. So, the final match is the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, which sees the champion Roman Snooze Reigns versus the phenomenal my man AJ Styles, and that never has the same effect if I'm not wearing my gloves. But yeah, that's our last match, and I would be very surprised if you have a different opinion on who's going to win this one. I'm saying Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I'm saying Roman Reigns too.
Let's be honest. You know what? It comes back to that. It comes back to that meme which was being shared on Facebook a while ago with Roman Reigns going, and Vince McMahon doing that. Oh, yeah. That just made that when I saw that, it just made me laugh so much. It just ends with, oh, it was right back. That's just how I think. Vince sees Roman.
What I hope will happen, but probably won't, will be Roman Reigns wins clean. Then Gallows and Anderson comes out and attacks him from behind. AJ Styles finally joins in. But then Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins come out. So at the next pay-per-view, they do Shield versus Bullet Club.
Oh, that could be pretty sweet. Oh, that would be awesome. I would really love that to happen. I really would. And we know Seth is in training.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I reckon you could potentially see Bullet Club interference. I think that's pretty much a given with the way they've been building this. Yeah. Maybe have it not work so Roman doesn't lose from that. But then the final piece of the puzzle to tip the whole thing over the edge is the main roster debut of Finn Balor, who comes out, also attacks Roman, and then you have and then potentially I think this is going to be after the match though, this bit, so Roman Reigns beat AJ anyway, because I just, that would make him look strong, which, as we all know, is what Vince McMahon likes. And then I think
Reigns strong.
Yeah, CM Punk told us all about that. And I think then Finn Balor may come out and attack Roman with AJ and Carl and Doc, and finally get this whole Balor Club thing actually underway.
So, if Finn Balor does get called up to the main roster, I would much prefer Finn Balor to be on his own, because if he was with the Bullet Club, he basically wouldn't do the demon stuff for like pay-per-views, which I love the demon.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it would be kind of cool. It would be. I must admit, I'll probably flip out if we're watching Payback. Roman's just won. He's still going and then just just on one of those, it just goes I'd be like, oh shit. I'd tell you what though, if you ever see that entrance live, like because we went to take over London, me and Marcus. Oh, that entrance is so good. It's just that moment where it goes doom 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 dun, 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 and that first bit of the guitar when it kicks in, you're just like, oh shit, here we go. But yeah. So here's how a final rundown so we can begin the outro for the show. Our final predictions are for Kalisto versus Ryback. I'm going Ryback. JP's going Kalisto. For the tag team match, Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Cass, we're both going Enzo and Cass. For Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin, we're not predicting necessarily a win for Baron Corbin, but it's definitely expecting Baron Corbin to walk out the better. Then it's Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. I'm going Dean Ambrose. JP's going Jericho. And then Miz versus Cesaro. I'm predicting the Miz. JP's going Cesaro. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. We're both going Kevin Owens. For Charlotte versus Natalya, JP's going Natalya. I'm going Charlotte. And for the world title match, we're both going Roman Reigns. And that brings us quite neatly to the end of the show, which leads me to say a massive, massive thank you to JP for coming on tonight.
Always been a pleasure.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's been a good, fun show. We'll see who emerges victorious in the Payback predictions. Before we do shoot off, though, JP, if the people want to find you on the internet, whereabouts can they find you?
I have a Facebook page. It's called Jamie Pearn JP Wrestler. Just type into Google, it'll come up with the Facebook page and maybe like a video or two from like what CPW has uploaded. So, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, with me, as always, I am available at Glenn Chun on Facebook, Glenn_Chun on Twitter, and if you want to email me, if you do, it's glenchun14@gmail.com, which you can also use to actually send questions in live during the show. If you want to sort of do that, you can. Which I tell you what, we haven't done this thing for quite some time, JP. We used to sort of like end the show on a unique note. So perhaps we can have you do this the correct way. What words could we use to describe this episode of Wrestlecast?
Quite simply ultimate.
Good night from us. Stay safe, people.